straight up. So I'm going to do just a couple of little announcements. It looks like we're already recording. Thank you, Dan. I bet he's the one who did that. So thanks, Dan. Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Anna Foote with Northeast Kansas Library Systems. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm glad to see so many folks here today. One thing I would like to ask you to do before we move into the content today is please make sure that you change your name to include your name and your library name. So you can use either first and last name or just first name and then include your library name. And so you can do that from the participants list, or if you find your little square, it'll let you do it there as well. So thank you for doing that. And we're going to use those to take attendance and also to work on our prize drawings that we're going to have towards the end, and we will have instructions on how to do that. So if you're still here at the end of our presentation today, you'll be able to be qualified for prize drawings. The three library systems that are sponsoring this are Northeast Kansas Library System, North Central Library System, and Central Kansas Library System. So we all three are going to do separate prize drawings for our folks, and there will be instructions on that towards the end. So before I move on, I just want to say we also have Dan Alexander here from Nichols. He's running kind of our tech and helping out in general. And then before I pass it on to the other two staff members and then to Marissa, I just wanted to mention, please use the chat as much as you would like to either contribute your thoughts about what Marissa is saying or to ask questions. The staff will, the regional library staff will monitor chat and break in with questions as we need to, or respond with questions when Marissa asks for them. So we also have with us Sandy and Patty and Diane. So Sandy, you want to introduce yourself?
I will. Good morning. This is Sandy Wilkerson, and Anna will spotlight Marissa, so you don't have to worry about changing your view. So you'll be having her there at the beginning, right on your screen, so you can see her smiling face. I'm happy that you're here, and I will pass it on.
So Patty, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. This is Patty Collins. I am the Youth Services Consultant at the Central Kansas Library System. We're so happy to have the opportunity to join in with two other systems to host Marissa this morning for some great ideas.
And Patty, we also have Diane, and we've got a whole bunch of people coming from CKLS, Mary Beth and Mike as well, right, Patty? Okay, cool. So with no further ado from the regional systems, I'm going to turn it over to Marisa Hicking. She is a teen librarian at Avon Free Public Library in Avon, Connecticut, and I am so excited to have her present. She's got a ton of great ideas. So hello, Marissa, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me here in this digital Zoom box. It's lovely to join you from Connecticut. I am Marisa Hicking, she, her pronouns. Feel free to call me just Marissa. My last name, all the teens mess it up. So I was like, just call me Miss Marissa. That's better. So yeah, it's a hard one. So we're here to talk about summer reading, even though I hear you guys had a snowstorm yesterday. Sorry about it. But this is the time of the year that we talk about summer reading. If you're like me, you're like, what are we going to do for those big fun programs? What are we going to think up this year? What for the kids, what for the teens? And sometimes you can feel completely out of ideas or just want some new inspiration. And that's what we're here for today to talk about. Let's see if I can mark my thing. There we go. I'm here. Here's three things that I really would like, hopefully, for you guys to sit back, relax. You can take notes. There will be a recording of this. I always want to tell you how another library, my library, does a teen summer reading program and how I do my teen fun programs. I'm going to share some new ideas, and hopefully you can be inspired, and you might take a whole program. You might just take the kernel of an idea of one program and see how you can maybe adapt them to fit your library. Because no, every library is different. You have different populations, you have different communities, you have different staff sizes. I just want you guys to feel that you'll get something. And I feel like you probably will walk away with at least one idea. All right. And also, if you guys need to jump in at any point and redo any of your sayings to make sure anyone new coming in knows to change your name, feel free to do that if you want to. I'm totally fine with that. Nice. All right. So a little bit about me. I don't live in Avon, Connecticut, but I work here, so it feels like I live here. So this is Connecticut. And Avon is in the suburbs of Hartford, our capital. Fun fact. So we have a population of not quite 20,000, but about a third of them have kids under the age of 18. And I always like to include, yeah, everybody has kids, Marisa. We have one high school, we have one middle school, which serves grades 7 to 8, one intermediate school for grades 5 and 6, and 2 elementary schools for K to 4. So that's kind of how we break it down with our people, because I know every town in Connecticut's different. We're all towns that have their own kingdoms. So some people consider teen to be grade 6 and up. So when I talk about grades and what it's for, I'm going by the age distinction that I see in my town. A little bit about my library. There's, I know sometimes you're like, well, you have a staff of 50, so you're doing this. There's overall 53 staff members, but there's 8 regular full-time staff members, a director, an admin assistant, a manager that's kids reference. We have circ manager, tech services manager, and 2 full-time also reference librarians. In my department, I fall under the umbrella of kids and teen services right now for separate reasons. I'm also the acting children's manager, which is fun, but we do have 4 part-time staff, 1 12 hours, 3 25 hours. So we do a lot with what we have. And we have 1 teen librarian, me, running a whole department. So that's a little bit about what my library is. Also, if you see on the building picture on the far right, that's my teen room. So I'm somewhere in the building over there if you want to imagine things. A little bit about me before we get started. So I've been a full-time teen librarian since July 2012. So I'm coming up on my official 10-year full-time anniversary. I was in kids services before. I was a Barnes & Noble kids manager for about 8 years. I love the creativity and freedom that comes with being a teen librarian and the fun programs I can do. Like I had fun doing a silly sock story time with kids, but I really like that sweet spot of teen programming and the weird fun stuff you can do in the crafts. So I kind of found my niche and I like it. Fun fact, I watched way too much Nickelodeon as a kid. So Family Double Dare, Guts, Legends of the Hidden Temple, super inspire me when I think of what weird, fun, crazy thing can I approach or propose the teens to do for a program in the summer. May or may not have effect on my programs, and maybe you'll see some pictures that are like that in the future. I do want to say before we begin, I kind of mentioned quickly that when I say teen programs, and for me in my library, teen is for entering grades 7 to 12. And in the summertime, I talk about the class of 2012. So if you ever see a 12 plus for grade, that just means they just graduated. I want them to feel like you haven't gone to college yet. You're in grade 12 plus, pick grade 12, you're fine, you're included. For us, kids programs are K to 6. And we also have a summer reading program for our super under Ks. So if you're birthed to not quite entering kindergarten. So that's kind of, for our summer reading, we break it down into 3 different ways. But today we will be focusing on teens and teen summer reading, which leads us into our first part we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about summer reading, like the reading program, teen programs. The second part and the last part will be teen volunteers. So we have roughly even time. Let's get into some slightly different ways that you could choose to do summer reading incentives for teens. I just want to do a quick acknowledgement that everybody logs their summer reading different. You can track it with print logs. You could use a free Google form to have kids fill it out. I have some other teen librarian friends that do it that way. In Connecticut, our version of like Nichols and North Central is that they pay for, have paid for Evanced and Read Squared separately in different years for an online tracking software. I'm not going to get into the how-tos of that because everybody's different. It's not going to really matter here. But I just want to acknowledge that everyone does it differently. Totally get it. There's no one right way. Acknowledging that. What we do in Avon is we have delicious rewards. So when we go to the schools, whether it's elementary, middle school, or any of the programs, we talk about delicious rewards. What is it? It's a food or experience that teens can earn by reading. Sometimes Friendlies or some other restaurants would be like, can I give you a buy one, get one? Can I give you a 30% off a pottery? And we say, no, it has to be 100% freely given because we are a fairly affluent community, but we do have people in all different economic stratums, all different people that we want to be an equalizer. Sometimes this is an example of one of the teen ones we had a couple years ago. This is for a free cupcake. It was one of our kickoff prizes. So for the first book you read and logged, you get a cupcake. So And I always say, I don't have the cupcakes at the library. You get this piece of paper and we customize it and make our own, use the summer reading logo. We have all the information, hours, address, which we double check with the store owners. Is this correct? Because they always change their summer hours. And then we give it out throughout the summer, and then the kids can get an experiential award, either food or going to a baseball game or like a water park. So that's what I mean by delicious rewards. When do you start asking? We start asking like right now in January, February. We already have a couple lined up again. Who should you ask? Corporations versus local businesses. Corporations like McDonald's, Chipotle, I totally get some of the restaurants might not be the same. Some are wicked local, but Friendly's I thought might be national. Chipotle is also delicious. So they usually have their own printed graphics that they will print for you, and then they give it to you. But sometimes it can be a hassle where we got held up with Brugger's Bagels. They wanted to control their printed coupon. It's not, I say coupon, but it's not like a % off. We can say that it's a reward. But you actually, it got delayed for 2 weeks where we started summer reading, giving out their awards. We'd even given them a date 3 weeks ahead of time of when we needed that paper, but from whatever reasons they got delayed. So if you're not in control of creating it, you're at the mercy of their things, but people were understanding. We just said, hey, we don't have this specific reward for right now, but we will have it within very soon, which was 2 weeks considering out of all the summer. If you're gonna ask your local businesses, which I love doing, that's like your local restaurants, your pizza places, cupcake, ice cream places. They're way more flexible and informal in their arrangements. Like we have a pizza place around the corner that I always order pizza from when I do book discussions pre-COVID. And his name is Doug. He's super cool, super chill. So one day I went over to lunch a couple weeks ago and I was like, hey, Doug, are you back in for summer reading for the kids and teen program? He's like, oh yeah, I'm super in. Very casual, but he's just committed to like $4,000 of giving away a free slice of cheese pizza to all the kids summer reading, the under Ks, the kids in K to 6th grade, and all the teen programs. So very casual, no written corporation signature needed. It's a verbal agreement. We have an established history, but for the first time you're asking, there's a lot of things that like a request letter that are in your handouts. There's so many handouts, I'm so sorry, but they're really helpful. The main thing I want you to do is think about who could you ask? Somewhere that's fun to go and get that kind of thing. We talked about, what do you mean by asking? This is more of an example of a generic request letter. This is handout number 2. Oh, I'm sorry, handout number 1 was the Taste by Spellbound. This one's handout number 2 as an inspiration for you. We asked for sometimes item for our prizes, or do you want to be a delicious rewards donor? A prize could be something that's like $10 gift certificates, $20 gift certificate versus a delicious rewards person means that they're donating about $4,000 worth of cupcakes, not all at once because kids have to get the paper and then redeem it, things like that. So I wanted to give you an inspiration of like, what do you mean? So we have kind of a spiel that we could say, whether it's a phone call or going to visit in person. I'm not sure how free your libraries are to let you out. We take our tax exempt forms and we just go in the community and we ask. It's very successful. It's really surprising. We talked about delicious rewards. So if you have a handout 3, feel free to look at it later. This is a small image from the bottom of it. So when I talked about cupcakes and pizza slices, for the teen program, I do it a little bit different than the kids program where we'll talk about loot later, don't worry. For your first book that you read in log, you get a cupcake. Second book, cheese pizza slice. Third one, oh, this is amazing, especially how you sell it. It's a skillet with a warm chocolate chip cookie with a little bit of vanilla ice cream, chocolate drizzle, whipped cream, and a cherry on top. I love describing that in summer reading visits. It's amazing. Also for our libraries in Avon, the teen summer reading is that they have to read 2 books. So I'm like, you have to read 2 books anyway. Why not get a free cupcake and a slice of pizza? So other ones are more health conscious ones like Smoothie from Be Good. It's a very health conscious restaurant. A local ice cream place, Brueggel's Bagels. A quasi amusement park is like a water local amusement park. We'll get to Loot. And then like Ben & Jerry's, like a national ice cream chain. For teens, some of them could read 1,000,000 books. I just go up to 100 because I'm like, I can't keep putting in the computer system for your 100th book, your 1000th book. So $10 in library loot, we'll get to that. And that's kind of a quick idea of what's that. We talked about loot. I have so much. It makes you feel so rich. Look at my loot. Library loot is like Monopoly money. I always say no real world value. Don't try to use it at restaurants. It gets a cheap laugh from the kids. Library loot means everything in the teen summer reading program, but it means nothing in the real world in the sense of like, oh, cool, you have play money. But we have a teen prize auction, and you can use this fake real money in the prize auction to win real prizes. I love it. So this is an example. We have 1s, 10s, and 20s, and we make a huge amount of it. This is going back to handout 3, the top part of it. How does someone earn library loot? Super easy. You sign up for summer reading, and then you're already in the program. And for every time you come into the library, you get $1 in loot. We have it at our children's reference desk. We have a little file folder. We have it all separated out. And $1 per teen per day. Also, if you want to earn $10 in library loot, if you read and log a book, you get $10. Super easy. Do you have to write a review? No. It's always on our system. We always say a teen equivalent book, but we count manga, we count graphic novels, audiobooks, all that stuff, just not magazines. Sorry about it. Another way to earn library loot is to attend a teen summer program. We'll talk about that and how much more loot you can get from that a little bit later. And then for volunteering, I don't sell it as the main point. If you volunteer, you can get $10 in library loot. So that's kind of like a system of loot is free to make other than the cost for the paper and the printing, but usually libraries have a ton of paper and copy, right? It's not something you're crazy buying. You can make a bunch of it. It doesn't really cost you money. And then it's a great way to have an incentive to get teens to sign up. If they're casual users and just get 2, like a cupcake and a pizza, great. Some kids go all in and they're reading and they're logging, coming to programs. It's a great way to get them invested in your program and really want to keep going. Frequently asked questions about loot doesn't expire. It's good from year to year. You can earn loot from the summer you're going into 7th grade, so you just graduated 6, all the way up to and including the summer you just graduated, like that 12+ grade is what I talked about. No, you're not supposed to share it with your friend or your sibling, and you're not supposed to like, oh, I'm graduated now, I have extra loot that I forgot to use. You're not supposed to hand it down, but I don't know everything and things happen around me. It's very good on our system. People are cool with it. Do I ever get counterfeited library loot? No, I don't. If you look at my picture, that actually is, we used to print them on different color papers when I inherited. I fine-tuned the loot system, but they were all different colors. And I was like, I can't take that 10s could be 5 different colors, but there is one picture there, that 110 that has slightly off purple coloring. That's not counterfeit. We just didn't use, that was a slightly off color batch. But no, people are actually quite good with the honor system. And we did have a master template, but that got lost in ransomware about 4 or 5 years ago. So I have printed copies and we could always recreate it if you wanted to, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah. What is loot good for? We talked about it's good in an auction. It's good for prizes, books signed by authors. I like to have literary prizes, especially to reinforce reading. It's your super readers, books signed by authors, Rick Riordan, Marisa Meyer, Karen McManus, Becky Abertali, all these authors and more. It was ones that I had last summer. Advanced reader copies, ARCs or galleys. Those are ones you can get from publishers, and that's a free resource. You can't actually really pay for them, but if you write to publishers, they will send you them, and that's how I get some prizes there. And sometimes I have so many ARCs, I just make a bundle of them, like, oh, these are all on mental health, high school audience kind of thing. So super fun. And then we have some pictures again. Also, for some of the more casual teens that maybe aren't your super readers, maybe they are, gift certificates. You could either straight up buy them if you have a budget for it. Good for you. Most of our gift cards are donated by our local food places. You'd be surprised how much you can get when you ask. You have your tax exempt form, you have a letter of request, either you go in person, like I said, or you do a lot of phone calls to get that manager on the line, but they're willing to give you like $20, $10, $5, or a free large 4 certificates, good for 1 large cheese pizza each. Teens love food. We all know this. I also love having weird, wacky, fun prizes. My big one last year that I absolutely adored and nobody left the library without not hearing about it was a 5-pound gummy bear. This was a picture from Amazon. I got a blanket that looks like a burrito. I actually just went and did book talks at my local middle school on Monday, and Sophia, who won it, was wearing it around the school. I loved it so much. She's so proud of it. I'm proud of her. And then I have speakers that show different colors. Did I know what that was? No, someone literally donated it. It was probably some like $10 to $20 thing. People were so into it that drew a lot of attention and a lot of loot towards it. But it's a great way to start a conversation, especially I had a display case. This is right off the elevator in the kids and teen department. When you come in, this is an overhead shot of craft supplies. It's a secure display. It has glass on it. It's locked. People can't get into it. Little toddlers can knock on the door all they want, they can't get in. All the books are signed by the authors. You can see my favorite Pride and Joy, that 5-pound gummy bear. I love it so much. I have a burrito blanket in the top, and then in the bottom right corner, my second favorite talking point was about a 3-pound sour gummy worm. Not multiple, it's one worm. It's just huge. So it's a great collection of arts and craft supplies, gift certificates, things, a certificate for Starbucks, a certificate for an ice cream cake from Ben & Jerry's. It's fun. So if you're excited about it, they'll be excited about it. Fun fact, my one that I'm going to do this year is get a 1-pound bag of cereal marshmallows. I'm very excited for that. You'll see in the handouts 4 and 5. 4 is from 2014, 5 is from 2019. I just want you to see, what do I do? I like to have some organization. If you're just starting out, like, I'm going to try this. It can be less than 1 page. That's fine. Be organized. Keep a running list. I do number them. They all will eventually get numbers. Have your books, have your food certificates, your craft fair, your actual food. And I start slow with my auction, so they can see everything that will be in the auction is there. And you can see in the craft fair bundle, some stuff will be added, like we didn't have a craft fair yet that year. So a couple of things were getting added. So again, it's great to be organized so people can know, what exactly are you auctioning off? But you'll always have some kids who can't be there in person. So because I love to make things challenging for myself, I got that request after the first year or two. So I made a form. Okay, if you can't be there in person, fill out this form. I limit you to 3 prizes you want to go for. And it helps them work on life skills like save, plan, earn, loot for a goal. I love it. The teens can make arrangements to drop off that form, and all their loot, or any loot that they're away at camp, I can add in $30 because they read 3 books at camp. But I make them keep to 3 items, because any more than 3, it gets complicated. And I do say, they're like, well, put $10 on this one and $10 on that. I'm like, well, some prizes go for a lot. Like a signed Rick Riordan might go for like $500. If someone's really into it, they've saved and planned. So I try to guide them towards, say, everything I have up to this, and they know the exact order. So if they know prize number 20 is what they want and prize number 30, they want it more, they have to strategize. Also, I'll talk about this more later. This is a great way to utilize your teen volunteers. They can be the absentee bidders. Can they bid for themselves and their own loot? Of course, but they can also do good and help teens that can't. Also have a deadline for picking up your prizes. There's one kid, I think he's Aaron in California. He's in his 20s now. He always is he like nationally wants to sign up for summer reading and have you send him prizes. What we do with our delicious rewards and our loot is that we're like, great, anybody can sign up, but you have to claim them in person, because it does no good to Aaron in California or even anybody in Kansas to have a coupon delicious reward for a Taste by Spellbound cupcake if you're not going to actually come here to the thing. So it's nice to have that, and say you have to pick up your prizes by the last day in August or the last day in September. And if you don't, that prize will get reabsorbed back into and probably be auctioned off next year, because I usually have a couple kids that just for whatever reason don't claim it. It happens. The actual auction day, have a plan, be organized. You can see the cards up here. I've put the numbers on my Funko Pops. I've put the bundles all tied together. And I put them out, if you see in the bottom picture, behind me on those tables there in the exact order that we're going to go over. Give yourself more time than you think. It always takes more time to put it out. Make sure you have a secure room so I can lock the door and go to lunch and not worry about people coming in and taking those gift cards. And then also, if you look in that bottom picture, the person in the pink shirt right back there by the friend sign is Tina. She's my reference manager. And also she's known as the banker in the auction. She's always been my banker. She loves handling the fake money. You got to be up and ready to pay her immediately. Have extra copies of the prize list for those who are coming in or for parents who want to come in. And also the table to the right of teens, separately, the kid in the blue shirt, all those were my absentee teen volunteer bidders. So again, I got like 6 or 7 volunteers that year who wanted to help bid for kids who weren't there. And each teen had 2 to 3 kids that he or she were bidding for. It's intense, but fun. I love it. The day of the auction, tell your teens, make sure you come early to claim any last minute loot. You have to go up to the kids' desk. And if your plan is the same as like 20 or 30 other teens, you're going to need some time to do that. They can't help you all at once. We have 2 stations. Make sure you come to claim your seat, look over the prizes like my friend Izzy was doing there. And then if you have any weird freebies that publishers send you, maybe it didn't quite make it into the auction, it's cool just to have a table of free stuff. People love prizes and free things. It's just a fun, great day. All right, so teen prize auction. We do have to explain what an auction is on the day of the auction, as much as I explain it during the summer. I have to tell the teens to have a couple of starter crafts. So you see in that lower left picture, we have craft fairs. So I said, hey, I put like some dolls people made, some bags, some random painted rocks. I had 3 different craft fair starter bits. It's a good way to slowly start the auction to get them used to what an auction is. I know what an auction is. I've seen TV enough, but they're like, what? And we also go over behavior, like having straight arm bidders, having your arm straight in the air versus like, maybe we can't have weak little arms. I got to have straight arms that show me that you're into it. We also go over expected behavior of be good listeners and respectful when others are bidding. And also the same rule, pay Tina the banker immediately. If you can't pay right away, then it goes, if you think you have 200 and it costs if you think you have 200, but it really you have 150 and you're not going to have to pay that 200, you got to put it back in the auction. I'll go back and say, who was the last person? So we'll re-put it up for auction. It's pretty fun. It's very fun. Post auction, you can actually utilize, I have carts of gently used arcs, of discards, and any arcs that maybe were kind of too weird to put in the auction. And the teens can buy them for $5 in library loot. Again, library loot doesn't cost me anything, doesn't cost you anything. It's a great way to reward those who read to get more books and get rid of discards and versus like recycling them, or ones that are popular titles but gently damaged can be in there, or pristine copies that just didn't find the right audience. I separate them by genres for ease of looking. If you're into sports, if you're into realistic mystery, if you're into like sci-fi, if you're into fantasy, we separate it out. And then I keep those cards in a separate spot up by the kids' desk for a couple of weeks after the auction for those kids that couldn't be there on the day of the auction to still peruse. It's a great way to use a resource that you have that you're trying to get rid of anyway. Some changes for COVID. Yeah, COVID happened. On Handout 7, really, it's a link to this video. This is the promotional video my boss and I made last year. We pivoted. We were not allowed to have an auction the last 2 years. So we went from having printed library loot that you'd have to come and claim in the library to getting 1 book read and logged equals 10 digital points. 10 digital points equals 1 raffle ticket. And then we used our online summer reading program where the kids could buy the raffle tickets with those 10. It's pretty much 1 book equals 1 raffle ticket. And they could put all the raffle tickets on 1 item or spread them out over the other 60. Whatever they wanted to do, they could still have the investment and the choice of putting it on the prize they want to win, which is different than the kids program where they don't quite have as much choice. That's one thing of them getting older, they have their choice. Also, look at that beautiful 5-pound gummy bear. It's over my shoulder. It's so cute. All right. Any questions that we didn't get to address? You guys are such good listeners. Do we have questions? Or are we doing good? Anna, I don't know. Patty, any questions from people before we move on to our next program about programs? What do we think?
I think we're pretty good. There's been a little bit in the chat, nothing question-wise necessarily, unless I missed something, but there have been some great suggestions. People loved the burrito blanket. Some people have even done that. So
nice.
Yeah, so things are good. Okay, there is a question that just came through. Do you try to make the programs around the summer theme?
Do I? Yes and no. I give a vague maybe, but also we'll talk about programs coming up. My programs are almost annual things, so I can incorporate some of the theme from summer reading into the program that I'm offering. Like my lock-in, we'll talk about lock-ins and know what that means. I've done alien themed lock-ins when it was like a space theme for summer reading, but I also don't want to feel like I have to only do this program. I know my first summer, I think I came in was Own the Night, and we did some constellation stuff. We did a night themed lock-in. We made it fun, but my main thing is, as long as I can kind of mold it to what I want to do or give me some guidance for some crafts, cool, but I don't want to feel constrained that I'm like, oh, I can't do this really cool, fun laser tag because that doesn't fit Little House on the Prairie theme. That's not the theme at all, I know that. But I want you to be excited, because if you're excited about this program, the teens will be excited versus like, oh, that's the theme. Or Beneath the Surface, that was a very tricky theme. The art was bananas. That was a few years ago, where people were like, I guess we can only do rocks, like rock-based stuff. And I was like, I've actually deviated and done my own theme and my own art and done that. So I can take it as a guide, as a thesis statement, but I want you to be excited and have fun. Good
Cool,
question.
thank you.
No worries. Any more questions? Do you want me to go on to the next
I think we're
part?
ready to move on.
Okay. So that was like the summer reading part. That was pretty straight and fun. This is the part I love talking about programs. is my favorite part. So this part might run long. Again, if you have questions as we go, feel free to jump in because there's a lot of programs. We're going to talk about 5 programs, and there is a supply list handout. I'm not going to reference it specifically on the slides, but that has Amazon links to different stuff. Why does it always have to be Amazon? For my library, we have a tax exempt count there, so it's just easier. I know, big corporation. But I also wanted to have something to say, hey, a lot of times I'll reference a dollar store, which there's always a dollar store somewhere in each community. It might be Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Dollar Family Dollar. There's always a million things. All right, let's get into my favorite part. Fun, weird, and messy teen programs. Teen programs. We talked about this a week ago when I met with my fun people here. So what's a teen program? For me and my community, we have the middle school and the high school. So we say teen programs are for teens entering grades 7 to 12 and the ones that just graduated. I do think it's very important to create a teen space for teens that's of teens. That said the word teen a lot, because it's a space for them to be. And as much as you're tempted to let in that really advanced 4th grader, it does create a slightly different feel where the teens maybe feel like they can't be teens, or the teens will be fully teens and maybe they'll have a few swear words sunk in, even if they know the behavior expectations. And you might have an upset parent being like, how could they? I'm like, well, it's for teens. Or the difficulty level is really for teens. Even if your attendance sign up could be slow and not quite fully there yet, I would rather have a low attendance program of 3 or 4 people, and then have that grow, and maybe it's a writer's group, and then be like, yeah, tell your friends, and we can maybe do it again, or next time we do it, how can we make it better? What would make it more appealing? I don't see failure as a bad thing. We love to fail here at the library. We're like, take it, learn it, what can we turn it? But I want you to really, if you can, knowing that I'm not telling you anything, I hate the should word, don't like it. I do think that teen programs should be for teens because kids get so much. Everybody loves kids, they're cute. So many of the adults in my library are like, oh, the teens. I'm like, what? Do you think they have sullen faces? No, and they ask me questions like, how do I talk to teens if they're misbehaving? I'm like, how do you talk to an adult if they're misbehaving? I do think teen programs should be for teens. It's a very brief, terrible, awesome time to be, and why not have a protected time for them? If someone really pressures you into letting somebody else come, like I did a tie-dye program once, and well, every year I love doing tie-dye, and I did it so much, I was so popular, I broke into 2 sessions, still for teens, and then I was like, this is so easy, you know what, I'm gonna offer a 3rd session for kids in grades 4, 5, and 6. But whenever whenever you have programs for grades 4, 5, and 6, you're going to have the precocious, really, 3rd grader. So I actually had a very nice mom of a family that I knew very well. I had Charlotte that was in 2nd grade. Is it possible for her to go in? And I made one exception, and I was like, this was years ago, and I was like, yes, sure, yes, she can. And of course, she told 2 friends, and 2 friends also wanted to come. And I was like, no, now there's second. And it is a little bit different in what you can instruct with tangibles and materials, and how independent they were, as lovely as they were. And on the day of the program, I had 3 2nd graders and 4, 5, and 6th graders. And of course, I also had a mom show up with 2 twin 5-year-olds, not signed up, middle of the program. And I was like, what? So even with best laid plans, you're going to get someone going under and under. So I just say, I stick with my programs. They're emotionally and maturity level wise, they're together with their grades. So if you need someone to say, stick with your guns to say grade 7 to 12 or whatever you define as teen, do that. I do think we should do that. I'm giving you permission, not that you need my permission to do that. Marketing your programs. Don't forget to make cool flyers. This was a snippet of one. I didn't make an official handout for it. We usually have life-size game nights for teens on Thursdays. This one year I called it Sugar Rush Teen Thursdays because there really was a lot of sweet stuff. We had life-size Candyland, Cupcake Wars, Make and Take Chocolate with someone coming. We'll talk about some of those programs here to there. Create cool flyers, share it with your local schools. You know this, I know that. Also, don't be afraid to super advertise it. Can the school digitally share it in their digital backpack? So because the kids don't have paper flyers as much here in Connecticut, I guess. They said, hey, can you put it in the digital backpack, a massive flyer with all the links for sign up? I like it. It's less paper and it actually is pretty helpful for me. And can your coworkers help promote your program? What do I mean by that? Do they understand what the weird program is that you're doing? Can they explain what life-size Candyland is? Can they explain what a lock-in is? Which is partly why I wanted to show the snippet of this handout. is that if they're like, Candyland, I don't really know how she's going to do it. Hey, really quick, you can just use this sentence. Hey, partners, so teams of 2, complete challenges while racing to the candy castle. I really was limited with lines here. Or, lock-ins is like a lot of fun, fast-paced games. So be prepared to get lots of library loot. So again, make sure your coworkers, whether in your department or the other word, know what you're doing, because they can also help talk it up. Just had to put that plug in. So our first program, this one's super easy. I try to start sort of with easiest to hardest or more complicated as we went. STEAM, air and water pressure rocket launching. This is a picture of one of our demo ones. It'll come back in a thing. It looks like a hot mess. It's fun though. Here are some of the supplies that you might need on the supply list that I gave you. I didn't really put like a link for yarn because I figured you guys got yarn and scissors, right? You got that somewhere. But I did have links for Aquapod, which is this thing on the left, and the air pressure pump on the middle. Those are a little bit of startup cost of maybe, I think it was about a total of like $80 or $90. I get it. That's a cost total for those 2 things. But once you own them, as we all know, we can use it over and over again. So they're really helpful, useful things to do again. What is it? Handout number 8 is literally the instructions we had for our take and make rockets. This is a page from that. I do want to clarify that look at the rocket. The opening of the bottle rocket is the bottom. That's where the air and water pressure comes out. So some of the kids were a little confused the first time we ever did it to think that, no, the pointy part, this where the opening is, that's a fun thing. It's very fun, very repeatable. We adapted instructions. This was a NASA-based program. And so again, some startup costs, but it's really easy to repeat. So we've done it at least 2 times in 2 different ways. I also want to mention in those instructions handout that I gave you on page 4 of the handouts, there is a video link of myself and the tech manager walking them through how to make it. Super easy. So there's 2 ways that we've done this program. Pre-COVID, we said, hey, this is what the pictures are from. Let's have a collaborative building session. So it could be kids in grades 5 to 12. We did let them choose their teams. They get to collaboratively build about maybe 3 or 4 people on one rocket. That is good. It creates teamwork, communication skills, resourcefulness. I love that so much, but we were a little time pressed to do it. Option 2, which is what we've done in COVID, is that we did a take and make at home bag. So on the right, you see all those file folders, you see the duct tape, the yarn, we gave them everything. There is NASA swag because we had extra stuff because we had someone come talk to us from NASA on Zoom. Super cool, by the way. So that was like, we made bags for everyone of all the stuff that you would need. It's a little more costly because we gave everyone a full roll of duct tape. So, but that gave them more time to actually research, design, and apparently a really effective fin shape is a rounded fin shape, not the usual like 50 spaceship one. So it was really cool letting them have the time to develop it. So we saw more individualization of rockets on that day. Fun fact, only fill the rocket with about 1/3 of water and definitely probably use 2-liter soda bottles. This is right from the Aquapods and directions that, again, you're like, what are you talking about, Marisa? So this is what the pod looks like by itself. And then you have, it's kind of grounded, that little spike grounds the Aquapod itself. Again, YouTube videos, it's super cool. You put the 1/3 of water in your bottle rocket, you pump it with the pressure, like the guy in the jeans in the top right, and then you pull the rip cord, the bottom right picture, and then the rocket should go up. That's just, I wanted to try and I did have the fire marshal come by when he saw we were launching rockets. He was like, so you're launching rockets. He was worried about fire concerns. I'm like, oh, they're water and air. He's like, oh, okay. So I don't know if you need to inform your fire marshal, but just let them know there's no fire or ignition of things there. So it's pretty safe. All right, launch day. This is my favorite day. This past summer, we had about 15 kids who got to double launch their rocket. That took about 90 minutes to double launch. These got 2 attempts. And again, we let the kids pull the ripcord. You can see that sometimes some of them went straight up. Some of them went kind of crooked. Some of them got stuck in the tree, and that was amazing. They came down a couple of days later after a crazy rainstorm. The great thing about having a public launch is that the family, friends, and siblings can come watch. So they were all off, we had a yarned off launch area, and the kids got to watch. So it was really cool. We even added a special layer on this past summer where we had an iPad set up to say how high, but that's like second time you do it. Do not worry, just do it. It's so fun. All right, tips. Launch as many times as you want, but those little O-rings that come with it, they are very easy to get lost. They come with tons of extras. So make sure you keep those handy, especially on the day of. And you can even have a little bit of Vaseline to keep it lubricated. Science. 2-liter bottles are better than one, like I said, has to do with the rim design. And someone said Fanta is the best kind of 2-liter bottles. And that was a free resource that we were like, hey, staff of the Avon Library, I know you're drinking soda and seltzer. Could you save them for us? So with enough planning, that could be a free cost for you. We're not buying soda to waste it. If you're having trouble holding the pressure in the pump at the time, the Aquapod is calibrated to start losing air so you don't have an overfill or anything bad happen. So some kids, it took us a couple attempts to get their rocket launched. It could have been the rim thing. And that's part of science. We just said that there's failure. It could work, it could not. So I love it. So that is the rocket launching. So I'm going to go next into the water/color wars. And then if you didn't get a question answered about the rockets, we can always come back to it at the end. So I love Water Wars. It's really cheap. You guys know it's a bunch of games, and depending on what you do, it could scale up in cost. It's outside COVID time. We've done it in COVID. We've done it pre-COVID. We've done it with masks. It is fun. So again, I love you can do water balloons if you want to do that. We're very good about picking them up and keeping our lawn clean and green. Sponges, I think we're like $28, something like that. They're used for the library. Water guns, it was a BYO, bring your own water gun, but I did buy a couple. They didn't have the ones that I bought like 6 years ago on Amazon anymore in bulk. So I said you can always possibly buy some basic Amazon ones, because I don't want anyone to feel like they can't come because they don't have a cool or an intense like water gun. And we mess up the game so much that you're not always with your fancy Nerf gun that it doesn't matter what you have. So we have some fun stuff. I love to start with Duck Duck Splash. You need 1 sponge and a bucket of water. That's a great game to play while you're waiting for everybody to arrive, because again, my people are not non-time people in Avon. I like to then next kind of go to musical chairs. Same idea. We just borrowed some plastic Storytime squishy butts on the grass there, and they weren't hurt. They're fine. They dried out. And then we had a speaker for music. Again, all simple, cheap stuff. Water balloon toss or a sponge toss relay. You can see we've done it before. Depending on how many kids you have, usually I do 4 teams because I have teen volunteers assisting and they can help watch. You could use water balloons, you could use regular balloons, you could use sponge, whatever it is. This is just starting to get them a little bit wet, not full on dunking. I love it, it's cheap. So a little more wet. This is one we did from last summer. We did a water bucket relay. And oh, wait, I forgot to tell you that I drilled holes in the buckets. Oh my gosh. So the kids had to run it was very long. They had to run all the way down to fill their bucket. The water was pouring out and they had to fill up the gray bucket there. And it was so much fun. I even participated because we just kept shipping up the teams and shaking them up. And I was like winded. We ended up in a tie, but we were so good. Freeze tag with water guns, same thing as once you get water spritz, freeze where you are until one of your teammates can tag you. Again, it's an easy 2-hour program. Wear your sunblock. You can also play capture the flag. Fun fact, I've never actually played capture the flag, so everything's my interpretation of it, where we can use a regular balloon and we fill them up with water, and we usually make 5 or 6, and we can have 2 or 3 rounds, and then each team of 2 gets to have in a designated territory, hide the balloon somewhere. You have to protect it, and if you either capture or pop the other team's balloon, then you win. Sometimes their balloon just pops on its own if they picked a really poor place, but it's also fun, and we're not lingering on who's winning or not. We're not even keeping track of, oh, you did this and this team won. It's a lot of fun, fast-paced games and just getting wet and just having fun. Also, like I mentioned before, for the kids that were like, I don't really have a cool water gun, Miss Marisa, we do a Hunger Games cornucopia where you put all the water toys in the middle. They're loaded with water, and then we have them come in a circle of a ring, and then we just count down from 10, just like the Hunger Games, and grab whatever you want. It's a shared resource, and then it's a big spritz for all. It's chaotic and fun. It's my life. If you wanted to do a second layer on at the very end, for $36, I have a link on the supply list. You can get 25 packets of 8 colors. It is food grade cornstarch, baking soda, and FD&C approved for food and cosmetic dyes. If you're gonna wear a white hat, like one kid did, I'm like, that's gonna get ruined. He's like, I know. I'm like, okay. I wore black. It all came out. It was fine. I had a very aqua arm for like a day. I just tell my teens, don't plan on going inside the library when you're done. Make sure your parents bring like a trash bag that you can sit on. It's a fun way to kind of finish Water Wars once they're all wet and dripping. We had an epic color war fight. And again, there's no negative impact to the lawn or the environment because again, it's natural, it's nothing terrible. Any questions on Water Wars? I love it. Feel free if you do. Yeah. Cool.
Well, I haven't seen anything come across in chat, but I was wondering, so I'm assuming that Duck Duck Splash is like Duck Duck
Duck, Duck,
Goose
Goose,
with
exactly.
Okay, all right, cool.
It's exactly like that. It's just you're outside and you have a sponge. So instead of like the tap on your head, you have the sponge, and then you have give you a little bit of water, and then splash. Again, it's a hint of getting wet. We ramp up the wetness, which is a weird thing that I've said multiple times now, but it really is.
Cool, thanks, Marissa.
Okay,
and
cool.
Everybody, as we move on, go ahead and if you do have questions or thoughts, put them in the chat. We've had some really good comments come through, and we will I'll save the chat and make sure Marissa sees that afterwards so she can see some of your great ideas. Yeah.
I want to see your ideas. I love it. I love being inspired. So Cupcake Wars. Yes, we know teens love food. Let's get into some food-based stuff. This is a beautiful display of some Cupcake Wars things. Again, some of the links I had in the handout. Do you have to buy those exactly? No, you do not. Like I'd say usually go to like your local craft store. We usually have a Michael's and use those 40% off coupons and buy whatever Wilton has. And also ask your coworkers and staff people what you can borrow if they're willing. Just gonna put that plug out there. Cupcake Wars is a high demand program. I am very clear that it's not for teens with food allergies just because of how we run it. We've done it where you do ingest cupcakes and there's 5 different teams. So I don't want anybody going to the hospital based on that. So I've often encouraged them to do other things. I have a maximum of 25 teens and I have a wait list of 10 because as the teens sign up over the summer, and I usually have like 5 to 10 judges and a couple of adults and our staff members. We have about 2 or 3 besides myself. A week, and I definitely am on the emails a week before the program. I say, hey, are you still coming to this program? Are you free and available and able to come 5 to 8 o'clock on this Thursday? And then I usually get about 5 kids that would say, oh yeah, I can't come. I'm at camp for a week, or I'm in India for the whole summer. This happens more than you think. So yeah, and then 5 spots usually open up. So half the wait list gets addressed. And then you see the sign. This is a screenshot of a sign that I've made that, hey, if you're not there by 5:04, 4 minutes after the start of the program, I'm going to give your spot away to a waitlisted teen, because I do have teens that come to programs and just are hoping for a spot. You'll see that for the next couple of programs as well. It's harsh, but it's firm, it's consistent, and I have the most full programs ever. I have more people than can sign up that want to come. So I want to try and maximize that, but also I try to be fair. So we like asking for donations. The simplified version of doing Cupcake Wars, you probably might have done or heard of. I bet you have. You could just do 1 round, have teens work individually. And then you can get I like pre-baked cupcakes. I have included on handout number 10 is a donation request for 100 free cupcakes, because I did 2 rounds, but if however many cupcakes you want. I also said as part of it, it's like, I'll buy all my supplies from your Stop and Shop when I go there. So the cost of the cupcakes versus what I bought there in supplies kind of outweighed it anyway. So it's a good thing to do in the community. And we made sure to say, thank you, Stop and Shop. You can use store-bought icing to keep it simple. And as a judge, you'd base it on the decoration and the look, not the taste or anything like that, which is pretty simple, right? And if you're not sure, if you're not a director, if you're a kids person, if you're a teen person, and you're not sure how much buy-in or support you're getting from your admin, start small and scale up. I wanted you to feel like you could adjust and change. So yeah, work individually. I have teens working here, get pre-baked cupcakes, store-bought icing. You got this. Advanced level is 2 rounds is what we do. We do 50 cupcakes per round, and I have 5 teams of 5 teens per team. Say that 5 times fast. I still get the pre-baked cupcakes from the grocery, and we do our own icing from scratch. On the supply list, there is a recipe. You'll see that somewhere later. I have them judged on then decoration, skill, taste, teamwork, cleanliness of station. I definitely judge on cleanliness of station because I want them to not be the most messy at the end of the program. So I'm a little bit biased about that. The good news about this way of Cupcake Wars is that you get to eat cupcakes. The bad news is you get to eat cupcakes. So whatever they create, you actually have to eat, but you're like, whoa, that's a lot of cupcakes. We usually end up splitting it, like you could eat a quarter or a third of a cupcake with other judges. We slice it with a plastic knife. So really, I usually walk away having eaten maybe 2.5, 3 cupcakes, depending on how we share it. I will say that for the bad part of eating cupcakes is depending on what themes you pick. I have eaten a mustard frosting flavored cupcake, but you know what? That team ended up winning. But it wasn't the year. Now we make them do everything consistently. If you're going to make a mustard themed icing cupcake, you do all of them that way. But that was the first year we did it, and they did each one unique. So only myself and 2 other people got a taste of mustard flavor. It actually was good. I don't know why, but it was good. So just know your rules, be consistent. Mystery ingredient that leads into the mustard. Salty and sweet were some themes that we've done. We've done pie fillings for ours, where we had cans of strawberry, cherries, blueberries, or apricot. I couldn't think of the 5th one. And then what we had them do is reach their hands into a box, and they knew they were reaching for cans, and then they pulled it out, and that's what they had. That was kind of solving how do you decide which kid gets what. Oh, sorry, friends. We've done Oreo. There's so many flavors. There's so many good flavors. There's so many weird flavors. That could be your mystery ingredient. We've done a breakfast cereal one before. That was kind of cool, depending on how much they crushed it up or how much they kept it intact. If you really want to go crazy, use extracts. One year I did 4 seasons. There's so many. So we had spring with like coconut, we had winter season with peppermint, we had summer with strawberry, we had butterscotch for fall. Also, we had spices like cinnamon and other things that they could add into, or hot cocoa powder. But be careful what you put out, because you do have to eat it. In this picture example, Skittles, I think is what those were. Don't use gummies. Please don't use Skittles, because like they don't actually add anything to the flavor, and it's a lot of chewing, and there's a lot of sugar in this one. So that's personal experience. So please don't use gummies for your own sake. So this is the icing recipe. You'll see that on handout number 8 under Cupcake Wars. I used it from the Call Me PMC website. Did I pick it? No, I have a coworker on staff that actually is super skilled. We'll get to that in a minute. This is pretty basic recipe of confectioner's sugar, Crisco, milk or water. We use water just for the allergies sense. And then we don't put the extract in if we're having them flavor it for that. It's super easy to make, except for the fact that we don't have electric mixers. So if you do go this route, make sure they have enough time to like maybe do at least 10 minutes of mixing and sharing it there. So you can see we have beautiful green frosting, and it does take a while to do all the things. This is the part of my coworker. So you can't see her face. Sorry, Tabby. This is the back of Tabby. She is awesome. She's a bagpiper. She's an EMT. She's has her master's in library science, and she's also a skilled cake and cupcake decorator. What can she do? I haven't found it yet. You can make this educational, so that way your friends will pay for it. Every year I do want her to teach them some piping skills and what do all the frosting tips mean. So you could just frost it if they're doing an individual simple round, but as a stretch, maybe have some, I bet there's someone on your staff that knows, or who has crazy nice icing tips that they're willing to let you borrow, maybe, just saying. Or you could hire a resident that loves to bake stuff. I'm just saying, look to your community, look to your staff. There could be hidden talent. Again, I love actually having them learn something, because I learned something. I'm always like, which one are you using today? And these are some of the tips that you could do. Cupcake Wars judging. This is from our first year. You can tell with my pictures, with my iPhone got better. Make your own judging score sheet. What are your rules? For me, with our tasting, we would judge on taste, creativity, teamwork, decorative skill, cleanliness. Assign a team to keep track of adding the scores as you go along, because we've done 2 rounds. So that way you have all the round 1s added up and ready to go as you're getting ready for 2. The teens also get to have a spokesperson elected from their team to speak for the group, and they get to give the spiel of like, why did we choose mustard? Why did we choose coconut extract? And how did we use it? How did we use it effectively? What were we creative about it? Which is kind of nice. It works on their public speaking skills and leadership skills. The loot. Hey, remember we talked about loot? Let's bring it back. So we said just for coming to a program, you get $10 in loot no matter what. But when we do have big teen game nights, you get more. So each person in the first place team got $100 in loot. So all the 5 teens pictured there got $100 each. We all had a teen measure it out. So second place got $80, third place got 60, and the last place, fourth there got 40. We already handed out probably 30 for the 5th place team. It's a great way, again, to reinforce with a free, easy incentive, like come to programs, you're going to win a lot of loot. So that creates that demand. That's why that's always full. That's why I want every team to be there on time. It's a big opportunity. I love it. They're so excited. All right. Candyland is our second to last. I know they get more complicated as we go. I love me some Candyland. There's a lot of slides and pictures here, and I don't want it to seem too intimidating because you guys can totally do this and you can scale it up and do it as you go. All right, I'm going to carry on because I don't hear any questions. Is what I did when I did this program is I looked at a Candyland board. I looked at this one because there's so many iterations of Candyland. There's modern, old, new. Pick whatever style appeals to you. And the basic structure of the game is you pick up a card and you go to that color square, right? Easy enough for young kids to play. That's the great thing of it. I was a camp counselor and I played Candyland 5 times a day all summer long, one summer. It was terrible. Life-size Candyland can scale for younger kids and also for teens, depending on how you do it. So just ask yourself, what activities and lands do you want to include? What sounds fun to you? Same thing. If you're excited, they'll get excited. If you're like, oh yeah, we have this activity, it's lame, don't offer it. Just again, if you can only do 3 activities and that's the most, you're like, oh, but they're so cool, do it. It's a repeatable program. You can scale it up, you can scale it down, make it accessible for your age group. We'll go into that as we get into the specific activities. And what's your budget? You can reuse a lot of stuff around the library, but there is some cost for candy and depending on how much supplies you want to build. And then again, what can you repurpose? We just repurposed a lot of stuff, like all in the background on the floor, all these weird little like balls. Someone donated a big chess set, so we just added it as decorations. It's random stuff that we have from the library. So activities and scenery. Where will this be held? I've held this program in 3 different rooms. Our huge big community room, it's a big open rectangle. I've held it in the teen room where it's more windy. I've held it in our storytime room where it's a different kind of skinny long room. Every place has challenges, and so know what you can actually put on the walls. In my community room, I can't put anything on the walls where the movie paint is, where they project the movies. That's a beautiful wall, but I can't use it. You can make backgrounds and paint your scenery. All of these were teen made, and I ended up the candy castle on the right. We actually had to cut it in half. It's too big for our laminator, so it's 2 pieces. We laminated it, but it's lasted for, my goodness, probably about 16 different rounds of Candyland. Yeah, it's been a while. Candyland preparation. This is my big room in the community room. So laminate construction paper. If you see all the game pieces on the ground, the first time I did it, I was like, I'm never going to do this again. I don't need to laminate this. That's going to take too much time for the game board. Yeah, it would take time and cutting. But after the first time I did it, I was like, oh, I laminated it for the next time because it's durable, especially if you're doing it outside, which you might in COVID times. It's reusable and better for the environment. And again, volunteers, as an activity a volunteer can do to help prepare your activity. Also, this is probably the biggest shot I could get. The room's like 3 times this big of kind of like the game piece of the path you have to go. Preparation, like we said, laminate the construction paper, durable and reusable. You've probably seen a lot of the kids having signboards. This pretty much is, you do 1, so 4 copies of number 1, 1 for the front, 1 for the back, and we each do partners. So again, we do it vaguely in rainbow color order, sort of. So in that way, if I don't always remember all the kids' names because they're new, they do have name tags, but I can at least, everyone knows numbers. So I can be great, we're gonna start off as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cool. And now this time we're gonna go 12, 11, 10. We can go reverse order, or sometimes we just start at number 7 and go around. Everyone has a turn. So it's a great way to keep it fair, where if your number 1s are not just the only ones going. It fits all sizes and ages. Literally, I've had, first graders in it, and I've had 12th graders in these signboards, and it's great because it fits. And there's no side string. It just literally goes over your head. Basic. In the game, we all know you pick a card to go your term. It's predetermined whether you're going to be a winner or not. So make it kind of fun. We had some variations where we've made black construction paper, big cards. We've laminated them for either the double squares or the special lands to go on. Also make sure that we've put them on a regular printer paper so people can't tell that's a double square. It looks like 2 squares. Not tricky. So we have 2 stacks. I've had a Lord Licorice person and I'm Queen Frostine, and we asked them a question. All right, Starburst or Skittles? Which one would you choose? I'm holding the Skittles stack, they're holding Starburst. And that way it does change it up. So that way they have a little bit of choice and an ownership over what they're choosing and where they're going. And we're like, and I will say for time, know who's going to choose when it's your turn. So if it's teams of 2, I'm like, okay, so did Andy go last time? Then maybe Sam should pick this time. Like, know who's going to give the answer the next time. Costumes, it makes it more fun. We've had a ton of costumes over the time. If staff can get library costumes, awesome. Volunteers can wear costumes. If you have extra things, the kids and teens can wear costumes. Give the kids crowns. You'll see in the right picture, we have 3 really nice crowns. It's on the supply list that are for the winner picture. And then we have the paper crowns you might have seen in other pictures that you get to keep. It's fun, it's paper. Also, all the teens that are dressed up, and these ones brought their own costumes and they were excited. I've had so many Princess Lollies, so many Gramma Nuts. It's so cute and they love it so much. Let's get to the land. So we've chosen for our activities as Gramma Nut. It's a nut-friendly nut activity. So pin the packing peanut under Gramma Nut. You can see the little blue laminated painted thing there. Make print an image of Gramma Nut, whatever version yours is. You need 2 blindfolds, packing peanuts, tape, and candy for the station, candy for the reward participation, like Hershey Kisses. Again, we don't do anything with nuts because that's too obvious of a thing. And you can see there's 1 teen volunteer to help them, and they can help pin the packing peanut on Gramma Nut. It's kind of fun. Candyland, Peppermint Forest. So pool noodles are awesome. They can be candy canes. You can get them from a dollar store. You can see the middle picture, the candy cane was more fresh. Later in the day, this is like, we usually set the room up in like 2 hours or so. And then we keep it up. We do it for the teens on a night, and the next day was when we'll offer it to the younger kids. So sometimes it gets a little floppy. But yeah, go to your local dollar store. It's $1 for a pool noodle, and then white duct tape. You can make your own. You can attach it to walls, floors. Be creative. I did not make these lollipops, but one could. Look how cute they are. They're so cute. I love it. Peppermint Forest. For the actual activity, we did candy guess how many are in the jar. What I would say is prepare ahead of time 3 to 4 jars of candy. With teens, we'll often do it for like 1.5 hours or 2 hours. For the younger kids, I'll only offer a 1-hour session where we usually get 2 separate winners of getting to the candy castle because they're a little slower. So I pre-counted out how many. Underneath that red jar lid where the kids couldn't see it, I had the actual number of candies in there. So for Tootsie Rolls, at the end of the round, someone won the candy castle. I'd say, oh, we have 64 Tootsie Rolls in here. Who was the closest without going over? And they get to split all that candy in the jar. So not too much candy, other parents will hate you. We love it. You need guessing, pencils, buckets for guesses, mason jars. It's really cool. I like it. They like extra candy. Lollipop Woods. I don't know why I think Lollipop Woods. I think puzzles. They get to assemble them. So I usually go to Google Image and get some images of candies like sprinkles, M&Ms, print, laminate, and cut into puzzle pieces. And then I have envelopes to store them in between. And I like having a piece of cardstock underneath to help like focus that this is this puzzle, work on it when you're done. And then you can actually customize it and make it harder for the teens. As you can tell, the teens are super happy with what we did. The teens get so the same picture, the little kids get a reference picture of what to do. Like they would have the M&Ms, the full picture, and we'd also cut it way easier, maybe only 8 to 12 pieces. The teens get 24 or more. You can tell they were super not happy. And again, here's an example of like the sprinkles in the very bottom, like just Google Image. I'm not using it for profit. We don't charge anything. I don't see bad with that. Queen Frostine. Usually we do like an ice cream, eyeball toss. You can have anything. It could be whatever kind you want. We've made scenery before. Super easy. Toss the ball through the cutout. I use a stiff trifold poster board so that way it could stand up on its own. And we have 1 teen volunteer that helps them. We have white pom-poms, like those snowballs for story time. Again, repurposing what you already have. And then we have a bucket for the balls, and the candy could be marshmallows or something individually packaged where they're not going to have gross hands. We've done an alternative once where you could decorate a cookie, but that got a little messy. It could be the cheap dollar store packets of multiple cookies in 1 tin, but it gets a little messy. So I like a clean ball toss. That's kind of fun. Chocolate Mountain, very similar. Knock down Chocolate Mountain. You can see our beautiful Chocolate Mountain. We have boxes, we have signs, we have a bucket for candy, chocolate candy like Hershey fun size bars or Hershey Kisses can work. And again, the younger kids get to throw closer to the structure. The teens love to wail and like knock it down. Part of it is also cleaning it up before you leave and move on your next shift. And this is my favorite repurposable supply, the gumball pit or sprinkle pit. It's a search and find activity. And the supply list, I love that baby ball pit, inflatable, the inflatable pool. And I have the baby ball pits. I do recommend having multiple sets of 200. I use them for so many things. You can put random items like, I have something here. Like we have a random pirate sword. So we put that in the ball pit ball. Can you find that? You have a list of can you find? And it's very fun. You put like an apron in there. Sometimes we have like this. Oh, this is really mean. If you want to put a green stress ball in there with all the other balls, you have to find the face. Depend. You can age it up, make it harder, make it easier. It's awesome. We've used it for Water Wars, Lock-In, Search and Finds, Candyland. These were alien eggs when we had our alien themed lock-in. These are gumballs or sprinkles. We've had competitive search and finds where 2 teams looking and who can do it faster. I love it. Lock-in, there's so many things for this. Let's get to it. If we don't have any questions, I know this part runs longer because it's a good part. Are we doing okay? Cool. Lock-in, what do I define it as? What can it be? I define it as a string of fast-paced games and activities which slowly increase in energy with a midway snack break. I've done it outside during the day. I've done it inside at night. Do I have to stay overnight? No, I've never stayed overnight. I don't want to. I know a lot of like church youth groups do that. Totally cool. I don't want to be here for like the 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. stretch where we're just watching movies and like worrying about who's doing what. No, you can make it be whatever you want it to be. Feel comfortable and safe with where you are. Make your behavior expectations known that usually teens never have to ask to go to the bathroom in a program before, but I'm like, before you go in the lock-in, I just tell a teen volunteer or a staff member so we're aware that if your team is lacking a member, we're not missing you. I also let them know and warn them, please wear comfortable clothing and shoes that are ready for fast-paced games, indoor running, because I want them to be able and ready to go. Other fun things, if you're doing it at night or in the summer, make sure you tell your whoever you have to tell, your director, that like, please keep the AC on. Also, can we have the parking lights on at midnight or at least through 1 a.m. if it's 8 to midnight, if it's 7 to 11. Fun things we found out in the first year. It was a little hot. It was a little dark out there, but we learned over the years. Scale it up, scale it down. You could do outside day. It could be an hour long. It could be up to 4 hours long. I do require registration because it's after hours. And I do say an adult has to pick you up. Doesn't have to be your parent. It could be one parent who's like picking up 4 kids for a sleepover. Great. I do limit it to 25 teens who are participating. I usually have 2 to 3 staff members, plus I have anywhere from like 2 to 4 to 5 to like 16 volunteers. And usually those are the older kids. The cost super varies depending on what you choose to do. So let's get to it. So again, I got pool noodles from the grocery store. They weren't quite $1, but they're fine. So handout number 11 is a full agenda of my 2018 lock-in, where literally it went from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock, time breakdown, what you need, what do you want. Be organized, because I share this with the other staff members. They know what to expect because I'm only one person. I can't be in every place. So sometimes I need to run a game, but I need to know that that other staff member is prepping for the next thing by putting the tables in place or clearing things away if we're outside. And never forget your keys. Honestly, don't forget your keys. If you're going to be locked, if you're going to go outside but come back inside during your lock-in and no other staff's in the building, yeah, you make sure you have a fun lock-in. So prepare for all the things. Think it through. You got this. Think about time. Again, it's all fast-paced, fun games. But let's get to some games. These are all names that I just came up with because it's weird. Can You Stomach It is one that I love to do, where I'm like, everyone, this is super easy. You get a plate of Skittles or M&Ms. I'm like, oh, wait. I forgot the ketchup. So it's a how fast can you eat the Skittles or ketchup with M&Ms. It's so fun. I love watching their faces. It's amazing. They do it, by the way. They absolutely do it. They love it. Mummy Wrap. This one's, you've probably done it with minute to win it games. The teams kind of have X number of minutes to wrap their teammate, 5 to 10 rolls of toilet paper. I love to buy the cheapest ones possible, or use what you have in your library if they're cool with them. Not the biggest rolls, those are heavy. I've also done it for a variation with Post-it notes, and which is a supply that we have. I know there could be said, well, that's kind of wasteful. I'm like, I totally get it, but toilet paper is usually flush down the drain anyway. And I get Post-it notes. A lot of times, if they're salvageable, I'll like, take some back and actually use them eventually with book notes. So we do try to repurpose stuff. In your face is one of my favorites. This is definitely outside. If you really had to do it inside, use a tarp or lots of dollar store $1 plastic tablecloths. Shower caps on the supply list. I have some disposable ones. Whipped cream. I like whipped cream over shaving cream because you can actually eat it then. I think Fruit Loops have a better landing stickability, or cheese balls. Masking tape, paper towels, trash can, all that stuff. So multiple teams of 4 or 5, however you divide it, and they all space out. One person's a volunteer to put the shower cap on their head. These are reusable shower caps that we've done. We put the whipped cream on there, and their teams have a bowl of X number of cereal or cheese balls to throw. It's amazing. You can do it as many rounds as you like. You can start closer, move farther away. You can give them the same number to throw all at once for the teams, or do it one at a time. Do it however you want. We've done it even during COVID times. The cheese balls stuck okay to Alexa's head, but I think cereal landed better overall. It's very adaptable. It's so fun. Ridiculous running. This one, I make up the rules 5 minutes before. So pretty much scavenge your kids' department and find stuff, or go to the dollar store. You could use an oversized t-shirt, a random cloth fabric, a hat, a pajama streamers, ball pit balls. And I'm saying, okay, you have to go put on the hat, run down, put on the hats, teams, and then run back with the streamer and do an interpretive dance. Okay, then take the butterfly net, which we have for some reason, and have your teammate toss one ball. Whatever you want it to be. Again, it's creative. Technically, it costs nothing. It's fun, fast-paced, movement-based. Very fun. This one's a little weird. I'm totally cool with it. Make some art. The only real cost is a bubble gum. You got some plates and some paper towels and a trash can. So you ask for everyone to go into teams, and then one volunteer, no take backsies. But I do look to make sure they don't have braces. Actually, the braces person could be this person. This is a sculptor. You're the person that's going to make collaborative gum art, and everyone's going to chew the gum, and then you make your sculpture. I've seen Olympic rings. I've seen whatever this nightmare clown type thing is. Happy face. Sometimes they have cones. It's weird. I have way too many pictures of gum art, but it's weird, but they actually get really into it, and they have a lot of fun with it. So I know it's a little weird with COVID now. Maybe you put this one on hold, or individual gum art. There you go, adapt it. Can you unwrap it? We've used this for chocolate themed Olympics, the whole astronaut alien Olympics, because again, astronauts have to wear their gloves, right? You have X number of seconds to unwrap as many Hershey Kisses as possible. Also, you got to eat what you unwrap. So borrowed oven mitts, right? Super easy. Those are my green ones in there. Bowls, Hershey Kisses, and then just keep track of how many they unwrap. They can't unwrap that many, so you could go down to 30 seconds, you could do 20 seconds, you could do a minute. A minute is a very long time, especially if you want to turn over all your people. And the last thing I'm going to say for the lock-in is remember to keep it spontaneous. Use what you have fun. As much as I say plan and organize. We used to do a movie day in the kids' department, and this one movie theater would donate popcorn. And they had, for whatever reason, not a great attendance that week. So we had like this huge bag of popcorn left over. And so it was stale by Friday. We did a lock-in. So we just had a 10-minute popcorn fight. Is it fine for the lawn? Yes. Was it all gone by the next day or two because all the birds ate it? Yes, they super appreciated it. It was just a fun 10-minute spontaneous popcorn fight. I know that part ran over a little bit, but I think we're going to make up time with the volunteers. Do we have any questions about programs?
I have not really seen anything in chat. There was a little bit of discussion and back and forth about how to adapt Candyland, maybe for teeny tiny libraries.
Yeah.
And so some of the suggestions in the chat and the back and forth was, try to find a church basement or do it out, find an outdoor space, that kind of thing. But any tips maybe or thoughts on how to scale Candyland down a little?
Yeah, you could just do 3 activities. Also, you could, I've seen golf in the library. We use the stacks. We've done for a lock-in, we did glow bowling. So we had tonic water, old 2 liters, and we've used a ball to like bowl in the stacks. If you want to do it during library hours, maybe there's a small part of your library that's not, I'm not sure how small is small, if it's like a 1-room library. Maybe you could bring it to the lawn if you have no space inside. I think it's very adaptable to outside. You can laminate those construction papers and make a simple set depending on your size. Again, you could still throw balls at a chocolate mountain outside. Everything could be scaled. And again, there's other activities. If you Google, there's so many other possible activities. I just have done what I'm comfortable with and what I've done and had success with. So you can very much do it. You could be like, try and toss something at the tree, you know, like pin the, not the pin, don't actually nail anything to the tree, but you could use a tree as like that, you know, pin the tail on the donkey type activity. I think it's very scalable for libraries, whether it may be inside using a part of maybe, I know our kids nonfiction section isn't very big, or isn't always the most busy, I should say. It is big. But I think you could do it inside or outside. And if it's outside, have a rain date, schedule that at the beginning, either a week later or the next day.
Cool. Thanks, Marissa. I think we're ready to move on, unless anybody else has a question they want to come in with.
Cool.
Sounds like we're good to go. Thanks.
I think we're going to make up time here. Don't worry. Because volunteers, you guys got, you know, you have volunteers. On Handout 12, I use my example, teen volunteering sign up email. Teens need volunteer hours for various reasons. National Honor Society, because their parent says they have to, because they want to go to a good college and have a good life afterwards. I've heard all the reasons. And they're a great way to enhance what you're doing over the summer, but it has to work for you, which is something I'm very firm on. You have to have clear expectations about how you want them to sign up. Is it in person only? Can I call over the phone and be like, hey, can I sign up? Is it just the teen? Do they have to bring their parent? When does sign up start? Every teen has their strengths, so you want to use that. So we'll get into some stories. Independent worker. I like to say, I do require teens to come in person. If the adult is there, great, fine, but I need to see the teen in person. They can call over the phone, they can email. Basically, I need to make sure that you actually live in the state of Connecticut. I've had teens try to do it and volunteer to be Cupcake Wars judges. And they're like, oh, wait. And the night of, I'm like, oh, these 3 girls haven't shown up. Oh, yeah, we're in Avon, Ohio. So it's weird, but you get to meet them in person. You actually get a kind of sense of their energy and what are they into. And I asked them, do you want to work independently or give 2 other options? So if they want to work independently, which means they want to work kind of by themselves, independent, totally cool. We can shelve kids' picture books and DVDs. You can scoop our popcorn when we have our movie days. That's a pre-activity thing. We're very independent. Also, you could eat some popcorn. And you can now you can help make our take and make creativity bags that we have. We also do kind and caring bookmarks, as we've done it with our teen advisory boards. You see some things there like Save the Bees, where they could make the bookmarks and leave them in their favorite kids or teen books. So a fun random act of kindness. They can also, if they're super readers, do short book reviews for new teen books to put on the library Instagram or to feature somewhere in the room if you don't have an Instagram. There's lots of variable ways to still make use of the quieter teens. If they want to help with programs, they could help set up or clean up after a kid's program. They could help during the program if the programmer librarian is okay with it, like maybe help pass out and collect the multiples of board books for story time, or pass out a felt piece, or help pass out the shaker eggs and collect them back when they're done. We do a book buddies program. So big buddies read with little buddies who are in kids in grades K to 3, and they get paired with their big buddy. So super fun there. There's a lot more options, but even in COVID times, they're trying to give COVID options that we have actually done. If you're a teen who wants to help with teen programs or help with teens, teens in grades 7 to 12 only. Sorry, 6th grader, I don't have you help with teen programs. You can help set up or clean up a teen program. That's open to all the teens. To help during the program, I only have it to the high schoolers, often the high schoolers that are on my high school only teen advisory board or group, as some people call it, a tab or a tag. And I get that. I totally get that, because most of my programs have such limited numbers that most of the people who sign up are going to grade 7, 8, or 9. Occasionally I'll have a 12th grader that wants to be in the Cupcake Wars, to be a cupcake judge. Totally fine. I just try to give you options. If the teens are really busy and have tons of stuff being scheduled, I say, hey, I have special one-time programs. Like you could be a judge in Cupcake Wars. You can help with the lock-in, like 3 to 4 to 5 teens, or Candyland, or Teen Prize Auction. And if you help with the one-time special programs, that could be like 4 or 5 hours, because you came early to help set up for the Candyland, you came to help during, you helped to clean up afterwards. Or if we do 2 sessions of, we did K to 3 Candyland session for an hour, quick reset, and then we offered another session for an hour for kids in grades 4, 5, and 6. So again, I've done it with younger kids, just making it simple. I just want to meet them where they are. I want to feel out what they want. Sometimes the kids are with their parents, and the parents the really insistent one. So I will, and I have been like, do you want to be done? Do you want me to be full? Because if the kid's not comfortable, I don't want them to volunteer, because I've had kids who are forced to volunteer and they just ended up sitting and reading. And I'm like, I would love you to come to the library and sit and read, but let's maybe not have you volunteer, because if you're volunteering, I have expectations for you. Another great job is photographer. So a lot of the big programs, I do designate 1 or 2 teens to be my official photographers. I give them my phone with the phone locked, so they can just do it from the code. They can do other jobs as well, but they're the photographer. I'll get them certain moments to capture, like, hey, that cupcake or that M&Ms or Skittle with ketchup. Hey, okay, wait for when they find out about it. Like, be ready. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. The teens will often actually be sillier and more candid with the teen photographer than like, I'm an adult coming in. And also the teens can have ownership. And I'm like, hey, can I credit you on the Instagram account for this or that? And they're like, yeah. That was also pre-COVID, but. All right, Cupcake Wars volunteers. You saw that we mentioned that we had volunteers. I first offer it to teen advisory boards. It's like an exclusive benefit. If there's openings, I can offer it to grades 9 to 12. It's so coveted, they want to do it, but you can't have food allergies. If you're gluten-free, I'm like, the cupcakes are full of gluten. I've had gluten-free kids compete, but not as volunteers. Again, you cut the cupcake smaller and you eat the equivalent. If you're really into it, like 2 to 3, you can make it work. It's good and delicious. We're almost done. Thank you for sticking with me. Candyland volunteers, utilize those volunteers. You can help plan what activities to offer. They can give feedback and say, oh man, I want to do this. I've had some wonderful artists create those sceneries that all were teen created. Help prep and set up the room. You definitely need this faster if you have more friends. They can help during the program. Costumes are awesome. Like I said, I have so many princess lollies that came in, and that adds the excitement and cool stuff. And again, they can get a lot of volunteer hours. And that's it. That's our time. You guys are awesome.
Wow, that's great. Thank you, Marisa.
Sorry.
So and this is Anna with Neckles again.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks, Marisa. If anybody has questions or comments, please go ahead and add them to the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
I will make sure to save the chat, and we'll share that with Marisa so she can see your ideas and thoughts.
I see that.
And then also, just if anybody's typing a question, please continue to do so. And I'm going to be quiet here in a moment, but we promised there would be prizes. So I am going to put instructions for people from North Central and Northeast, and then Central Kansas Library System is kind of doing their own thing. So basically for the Northeast and North Central, what you will do is look at my instructions in the chat. And if you want to save the chat, you can do that by going to where you would normally type, and there are the 3 horizontal dots. And if you click on that, that'll give you a menu, and one of those is save the chat. So you'll have these instructions. But basically, we're going to have a really quick turnaround on the prizes. You are going to have a form to fill out and a secret phrase to put in the form. And then at 9 o'clock tomorrow, Sandy will draw for North Central and prizes, and I will draw for Northeast prizes, and we will let you know if you are one of the winners and send you your prize. And then I'm going to turn it over to Patty, because CKLS is going to do something a little bit different. I did see a quick question come through on chat about the handouts. Yes, the handouts will be available. I am planning for the Northeast folks, and Connie, you are one of them, to send out the handouts, the link to the slides, the recording, and the chat transcript again once the recording is ready. So Patty, do you want to talk about, and momentarily I will get that into chat for North Central and Northeast, the instructions there. And Patty, what you want to talk about what Central's doing for prizes?
Good morning. I'm so happy to see so many CKLS libraries in attendance today. So go us, yeah, you. Diane has collected your library names. She will put all those names into a hat or a box or whatever clever idea she finds. We will do a short video and pull out a few prizes. It will be by library name, as that's how our prizes work here at CKLS. And then while I have you, just a reminder that we do have another workshop coming on the 23rd. So if you haven't signed up for that, please do so. And for everyone in attendance, Patty and Diane will be doing a best of video in March. That's not going to be limited to just CKLS people. So if you want more of the Patty and Diane show and you didn't see enough at KLA, you're certainly welcome to join us.
Awesome. All right. Did everyone learn how to get the prizes? We did. So Patty, you covered prizes. Anna, you covered prizes.
Yes, and I kind of screwed up the first time I put in my attempt to put in instructions. I cut off the top part, which is kind of the most important part. So just look at the very bottom of chat, everybody. That's your instructions. You're just going to go to a form and fill it out. And our secret phrase is winning possibilities. So be sure to include that. And as I said, tomorrow morning we'll hold those. So do that right away. You might want to click over as soon as we are done here, or be sure to do it before 9 a.m. So, okay. And does anybody have any questions or comments for Marisa?
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen if that's cool.
Sure.
And again, okay. Now I can possibly see friends. Hi, friends. Hi, everybody.
And I can turn on my camera again. So
Right.
I'm not seeing any comments or questions coming across. So if you are ready to move about your day, thank you so much. And thank you to Marisa for having great ideas and sharing them with Kansas. We love it. So feel free to head out, do your, if you're from Northeast or North Central, fill out your form so you can be eligible to win prizes, and have a great summer. I'm sure we'll be talking to you before summer again, but have a great summer and great planning. And I'm seeing, I don't know if you're looking at chat now, Marisa.